Hello guys, and welcome back to the weekly recap of videos that you may or may not have missed on the channel. So we started this feature a few weeks ago and you guys seem to like it, so it's going to become a regular fixture on this channel. So every Sunday now you get a recap of 5 videos that you may or may not have seen on the channel, but I have curated to represent to you. So we kick it off immediately with a story of a chap called Invictus Obi, a prominent, well-known, successful young Nigerian guy, but with a twist. So here is that video. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, this video is an example of why you should not celebrate anybody whose source of wealth you do not know, and you should not really celebrate people on the basis of wealth anyway, but particularly do not celebrate them based on a wealth whose source you do not know. The guy that we're talking about in this video, he goes by the nickname Invictus Obi. So this guy now, before we get into the story, this guy now was once profiled in one of those Financial Times publications in Nigeria under one of those 30 under 30 banners. So they do these things, 30 under 30, people of high achievement who are under the age of 30. So they take the highest achievers amongst them and profile them in a magazine. So this guy was featured. So now guys, to fast forward his story now, I bring you this. Obi Nwane, Invictus Obi Okeke, pleads guilty to 4.2 billion naira fraud to be sentenced in October. So this is not even allegedly them say anymore. This is a guy that's now held his hands up to admit his wrongdoing. The headline again, Obiawane Invictus Obi. So that Invictus Obi is in quotation marks, so that's not his birth name. Obiawane Invictus Obi Okeke pleads guilty to 4.2 billion naira fraud to be sentenced in October. So now let's now see now what is going on here. Obiawane Okeke, the owner of Invictus Group, who was arrested in the United States last year for computer-based fraud, has pleaded guilty to $11 million, equivalent 4.2 billion naira, fraud. The 32-year-old Nigerian businessman admitted to American prosecutors that he was involved in computer-based fraud between 2015 and 2019. Joshua Stewart, a spokesperson for the United States District Court for Eastern District of Virginia, told correspondents on Thursday evening that Mr. Okeke could spend 20 years maximum penalty in an American jail. He would be sentenced on October the 22nd, Mr. Stewart said. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after taking into account the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors, the court official said. The publication adds that Robert Krusk, an American judge of the district, certified the guilty plea on Thursday morning to clear the path for Mr. Okeke's sentencing. Mr. Okeke and other alleged conspirators, still said to be at large, were accused of targeting American businesses in a probe led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Unitrack, a subsidiary of heavy equipment giant Caterpillar, was amongst the companies said to have been targeted by the cartel in a business email compromise scheme for several years. Over $11 million was said to have been traced to the ring amidst claims that Mr. Okeke allegedly used proceeds of his illicit dealings to build a business empire in Abuja and other parts of Nigeria. So there you have it now, Invictus Obi. This is a guy, of course, that would go on newspapers and describe hard work as the panacea to poverty, and how he struggled and how his brain has been put to use to achieve all of these things that is claiming that he has achieved. But of course, it is 419 against the American companies and the American people. And the last person, of course, that you want to be 419 is the American. Look at the names. It's going as far as to attack Caterpillar. Anybody in Nigeria would know Caterpillar because you see their trucks all over You see the trucks made by that company all over Nigeria in any construction site. This is how high this guy was going, and to attack that level, then you must know surely that you are highly unlikely to get away with it, and not get away with it he has not, with now a 20-year term looking as a stretch in an American prison. Fair enough, he's young enough, he's only 32, so come back around about 50, 40 thereabout. If he's of good behavior, maybe they'll release him early, but at least a decade of his life will be lost now to this now thing that he has done. So therein lies it now. A guy that was profiled as an achiever and an example to the Nigerian youth is now in American custody. What says you? Come share thought. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then this 419 lifestyle of the Nigerian youth, what says you? Come share a conversation with me about it in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here I say peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So next we go on to Fulani lawmaker within the Nigerian space. I'm not sure if it's a senator or a representative, but certainly a lawmaker. So this chap had lost his seat and then subsequently won it back. So he arrived triumphantly at the house presenting 4 of his wives. So here is that video. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, I would describe this as a show of shame, but then of course Nigeria is a shameless country. And by the way, watch on, there's a video clip of this. Guys, I bring you this. Daring politician proudly introduces his 4 wives in parliament. So of course you already know the quarters that we're going to, the Malamis, and this guy of course now has brought his 4 wives to the parliament, to the House of Law in Nigeria, to present them to everyone. And it gets more interesting, so just watch on and listen on. So again, the headline: daring politician proudly introduces his 4 wives to parliament. So now let's see exactly how this played out. A proud Nigerian man who loves his partners equally has left people in stitches after a video of himself introducing his ladies in parliament went viral online. Al-Hassan Ado Duguwa. So of course you already know that it was going to be one of those. Al-Hassan Ado Daguwa is a proud father of 27 children and has 4 wives he always boasts and gloats about everywhere he goes. So actually, let me play you the clip here now so you can see him in action.
Mr. Speaker, I will let you know that with me today here are my 4 respected wives. Halim, stand up, please. 1. Uma, stand up. Binta, stand up. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I've asked them to rise here to respect the House on behalf of my family. And one other reason, to let you know that when members call me a powerful man, I'm not only powerful on the floor of the House, I am also powerful at home. These 4 wives, Mr. Speaker, what I meant by asking them to rise up is to demonstrate to members of the House that when you call me a powerful parliamentarian, I am not only powerful on the floor, I am also powerful at home. Because I deal with 4 wives. These 4 wives you are seeing, Mr. Speaker, have produced 27 children for me. These 4 wives you have seen have produced 27 kids for me. And I'm still counting.
So there he is. So we carry on. Al-Hassan Ado was convinced that being married to 4 women required some sort of power. In an epic video shared online, he was seen asking his ladies to stand up wherever they were. The 4 women, all who had smiles plastered on their faces, abided and got up from their seat and waved. The politician was trying to show his fellow legislators that he's a powerful man in all sectors of his life, and his 4 wives were proof that he was man enough. He had just made his return to parliament following a win during a by-election and wanted to make his comeback a memorable affair. The Nigerian leader, whose previous win had been nullified, wanted his colleagues to know that he oozed, breathed, and sweated power wherever he went. So this is now this guy. Now let's just round it off. What else is there to say? There's really not much more to say. We've already seen the video, so let's just cap it up here. Mr. Speaker, I would like to let you know that with me today here are my 4 respected wives. Alima can stand up, Umar can stand up. Ado said he went ahead to boast that the 4 apples of his eyes had given him not 1, not 2, not 3, but 27 beautiful and healthy children. That too was a sign of power to Ado. And one other thing to let you know that when members call me a powerful man, I am not only powerful on the floor of the house, I am also powerful at home because I deal with 4 wives, he added. So now this is now just, I mean, I don't even know, I can't add anything else to what you have already seen. So that says it all already, and that is Nigeria for you. And this is what goes on in the Houses of Parliament. So I am not going to run any commentaries on this because the video stands on its own. But you come tell me what you're making of it in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me now how many wives you are managing in your homestead in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here, I say peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So next we go back to the 419 sector, and this time around we're going to Hushpuppi. Here is that video, his narrative from Dubai. So enjoy. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, they are rounding them all up, the Olowo Ojijis, the sudden wealth. Hushpuppi were still on. The story continues to evolve. Guys, I bring you this. Hushpuppi is Nigeria's most wanted hacker. He has a case to answer, EFCC says. So that's the headline now that we are going to with this video. The EFCC are now chiming in. They knew this, of course, all the while this guy was flying in and out of Nigeria, from Nigeria to Dubai, doing big boy and going first class and blinging. But now that the Americans and the Dubai authorities have caught up with him, suddenly they have now come to the realization that he's Nigeria's most prolific hacker. So again, the headline, Hushpuppi is Nigeria's most wanted hacker. He has a case to answer, EFCC says. So now let's now see now what Ibrahim Magu has to say on the matter. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has described Hushpuppi as Nigeria's most wanted hacker who has a case to answer with the agency. In a statement released today, June 18, by its spokesperson, Dele Oyewale, the agency said it is working with the FBI to trace the victims of Hushpuppi's alleged fraudulent transactions, as well as trace other fraudsters that might have direct involvement with him. So here is EFCC's statement now. Nigeria's most wanted hacker, Ramoni Igbalode alias Ray Hushpuppi, recently arrested by the International Police Interpol and the Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI, has considerable cases of cyber crimes being investigated by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The commission is familiar with the grisly details of its money laundering transactions involving many high-profile cyber criminals facing trial in Nigeria. The commission is engaging with the FBI in tracing victims of its fraudulent transactions and other fraudsters having direct involvement with him. Local cyber criminals with money laundering networks with him are also being investigated. Hushpuppi was arrested on Wednesday, June 10, 2020 in the United Arab Emirates in connection with an alleged $35 million ventilator scam. He is still being held in Dubai. So, in Yoruba land, we say Ojo gbogbo ni tole, Ojo kan ni tolong. Every day is for the thief, but one day is for the owner. This is really the translation and the narrative really of this guy's life. This I have no sympathy for these guys on so many levels, and I have expanded on this on a previous video. So these guys, they are criminals, one, so they have no empathy. They get no empathy from me. They are criminals, one, so they get no empathy, but they are dumb too. So you're a criminal doing all this fraud, and rather than you then hide your head away and plead poverty and pretend like you have nothing, all they do is to splash themselves all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, gramming is WhatsApping and all this kind of nonsense. They are all over Twitter, everywhere and everywhere. And the flashing is, of course, 24 karat gold head to toe, Versace, Givenchy, Brulini, whatever, all the Italian names and all this kind of nonsense, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Penthouse, you know, this kind of. So people will then ask, of course, where is this money coming from? Because they don't know you for business, they don't know you for a profession, they don't know you for anything other than this money. So where is this money coming from is what flashes these people up to the authorities to lead them to the position where the FBI and the EFCC are now tussling for this guy for who will have him in custody. So his own has met him now, to put it in the translation in English, because I know that not all of my followers, all of my subscribers are Yoruba speakers. So this guy has now met his Waterloo, and they will meet their Waterloo one by one for reasons of criminality, and more importantly for reasons of stupidity. Conversations in the comment section. The EFCC and the FBI are tussling over Hushpuppi. Who do you think should win that fight, and where would you like to see him? I, for one, would like to see him with the Americans, because I know justice will prevail there. But if it comes to Nigeria, we all know what the system is there. Come share thoughts about all this with me in the comment section. Hushpuppi is who we are talking about. But before you come to the comment section to engage, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Click on the bell button as well. That notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then click on like as well if you like the video. Then come to the comment section to engage with me regarding the 419 goings on within the Nigerian space. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here, I say peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So next up now, we're going to a simmering battle that has now come to the boil between the Attorney General of the Federation in Nigeria, Abubakar Malami, and the security czar, the chief of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. Malami has written to the president to request that Magu be sacked, and this video explains why. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, you would have to be some sort of weird, peculiar, not to realize by now that the Malam Buhari regime is already in the advanced stages of internal combustion. These people are imploding from within. They are cannibalizing themselves from the internal organs outwards, and the combustion, the explosion, will be spectacular. Ever since Abakari's demise, it has been a fetish, feverish cannibalization. Guys, I bring you this. Malami right president seeks removal of Magu. So this is where we are now. It's an open warfare now within that space. Malami, of course, being the Minister of Justice, and Magu being the chairperson, the chief of the EFCC. So the Minister of Justice is now writing to the convalescing president to sack the acting, because he has been acting now because the Senate refused to confirm him. So he's now writing to the convalescing president on his sick bed to sack now the acting EFCC chairperson, Ibrahim Magu. So this is now where we are now within the Nigerian space. It is just a gleeful orgy of greed. So again, the headline, Malami writes president seeks removal of Magu. So now let's now say what the latest development is in the zoo, according to Nnamdi Kanu and his followers, or Nigeria, according to the rest of us. The Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, SAN, has recommended to President Muhammadu Buhari the sacking of acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu. Malami, in a memorandum to the president, anchored his recommendation on several grounds ranging from diversion of recovered loot to insubordination and misconduct by Magu. So let's just pause there for a moment because it's already gotten interesting. We're just 2 paragraphs in. So now let's just let's unpick that because this is quite striking. So we started off with the alarm that a senior minister is writing to the president to sack the chairperson of a leading agency within the structure. So that's the one element. And the reasons now that he is adducing for this request is that he feels, or he's stating even because he's the Minister of Justice, so this is not even he feels, he's saying reasons ranging from diversion of recovered loot. So that's really the first one and the most important one. So let's just look at it for a moment. The bastion, supposedly, or in theory and according to its composition of probity and integrity within the Nigerian space, the EFCC, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This was set up by Obasanjo, by the way. This agency was set up by Obasanjo with the sole remit of tracking down anybody and everybody that has stolen from the Nigerian state and recovering as much, if not all, that they have stolen from the Nigerian state. This is the job of this agency. But what are they doing? They are relooting the loot that were looted from the Nigerian state. So this is now what is being said, and no less a figure than the Minister of Justice is the person that is saying this. So this is now where we are now in this change regime, this anti-corruption mantra that Malam Buhari came in with. We all, of course, knew that that was a bit of a nonsense. That was just boju for the gullible, because there's no human being on this planet more corrupt than Malam Buhari. This is a guy that has been looting the Nigerian economy since the early to mid 80s. Remember when he was the Minister of Petroleum under the Obasanjo military regime then, when he just went wild and looted everything, and he has been doing that ever since. When he was the chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund under Abacha, looted everything. So now they have now handed him the keys to the vault. So what do you imagine will happen? Mass looting. So again, let's take it from the top. Malami, in a memorandum to the president, anchored his recommendation on several grounds ranging from diversion of recovered loot to insubordination and misconduct by Magu. Multiple sources informed yesterday that Malami included a short list of 3 candidates for consideration to replace Magu, but Magu is fighting back, and his supporters within the presidency say removing Magu at this time, when he has given muscle to Buhari's anti-corruption fight, would be a mistake. It is painful that the EFCC boss is facing certain powerful forces who have decided to remove him in spite of his remarkable achievements, the sources said. But sources said, given the weight of Malami's allegations against Magu, the president may be inclined to set up a probe panel that will look into the veracity of the allegations and make necessary recommendations. One of the sources told selected journalists that I can authoritatively tell you that though Magu has survived previous plots to remove him, the AGF's legal opinion remains the deadliest plot to get Magu out of the EFCC, as the AGF's letter to the president contained 22 weighty allegations that requires Buhari's decision on whether or not to send Magu's name to the Senate for confirmation or replace him. This is because the office of the AGF is the supervising ministry of the EFCC, and so his legal opinion cannot be treated with levity. For example, Malami alleged accounting gaps or discrepancies of figures concerning the recovered assets, claiming that Magu was not transparent enough in the management of recovered assets. A Magu supporter said, "It will interest you to note that Malami accused the EFCC boss of disclosing a total naira recovered of 504 billion but lodged 543 billion in the recovery account with the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN. Incidentally, this exceeded the disclosed figure by 39 billion naira. According to the supporter of the EFCC boss, what should be a point of commendation is now being used against Magu. Others said Malami also accused Magu of blatant display of arrogance and insubordination to him as supervising minister of the EFCC. According to the source, Malami claimed that most of the recovered assets by the EFCC were allegedly sold by Magu without the knowledge of anyone. But it is unfortunate that this claim is at variance with a public auction of assets by the EFCC, the source added. It will be recalled that many efforts have been made in the past to make the president drop Magu since his appointment as EFCC acting chairman on November the 9th, 2015. The plot for his removal twice stalled his confirmation by the 8th Senate, prompting him to remain the interim head of the nation's foremost anti-graft agency. However, when the presidency insisted on Magu being confirmed, the previous Senate demanded the reversal of a damning security report on the EFCC boss from the Department of State Services DSS, which it cited as the reason for its non-confirmation. Many groups and individuals had also gone to court to challenge the continued stay of Magu as the acting chairman of the commission. But Justice Ijoma Ojukwu, so we've come across this name before. This is the justice that they always go to. I'm not saying they're going to have to buy a judgment, but this was the same justice that they took Sowore to, that detained him in Abuja till date. So that the same name again. But Justice Ijoma Ojukwu of the Federal High Court in Abuja, in a judgment delivered in 2019 over consolidated suit on Magu's status, had held that there was no time limit in the law establishing the commission for him to act as the EFCC boss. The judge further held that Buhari is holding the proverbial yam and knife on Magu, adding that the president should do the needful by sending the name of Magu to the Senate for confirmation. So open warfare, as I said. So it is just complete madness that is going on within Aso Rock now. We are just still reeling from the battle between Aisha Buhari, Mamandaura, and whatever his name, something Yusuf, Tunde Yusuf, but his real name is not Tunde, the assistant to Buhari, who did not quarantine himself when he came back from Lagos with Babe. So we're still all alarmed at that drama. Yet now this bombshell again with the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice are fighting with the anti-corruption czar of the regime. So open warfare now within that space. And really it is quite pertinent to note, it is quite interesting to note that all of these things have suddenly bubbled out shortly after the demise of Abba Kyari. So it is imagine now, or seeming the case, that it was actually Abba Kyari that was keeping the lead on these things, because you would have to remember that Malam Buhari is completely debilitated both mentally and physically, so he doesn't really have the strength to even go to the toilet by himself, never mind running the affairs of the Nigerian state. So he's out of the way. And Yemi Oshibanjo, well, I don't even have to say anything about Yemi Oshibanjo. You already know him. They've put him in the kitchen to be with the girls and do the cooking. And whenever it's ready, yeah, I don't even want to go there because there are things that I could say, but they are not elegant. But you know, Yemi Oshibanjo is completely, is just a non-person within the regime. So we don't have a president and we don't have a vice president. And the person that was then holding the fourth for those two positions was Abakari. So now with Abakari now out of the way, it's just like you take the cork of a champagne bottle, it's just pop, and the whole thing is just spilling now. The spillage now is now what is spilling to the floor to both our alarm and entertainment in equal measure. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic, because it is of course a tragedy, as seen as the thing being played with are the lives of in excess of 150 to nearly 200 million people that are called themselves Nigerians. This is what the stakes are, and this is the game that these people are playing amongst themselves as they are bouncing their egos off the wall and showing themselves their little member between their legs, and trying to show who has the bigger what's it. You know what I'm talking about. They are trying to out-macho the macho who has the bigger chest. You know, so this is now the going on now. Operation Launch at the Dollar. Because if you read even further between the line, and this is me now going to the realms of speculation, this Malami now is not satisfied anymore with what has been budgeted to his ministry and his pocket. That's not enough now to satisfy his now avarice and greed. He's now wanting to tap now into that EFCC gold mine where all of these supposed recovered monies have been put, 500 and something billion they're saying, but then what's happening to that money nobody knows, and that money will disappear of course, and it looks as though it's been disappeared. So there was an anomaly within the recordings of the monies that the EFCC are declaring as recovered. So there was I think, was it 39 billion naira that was an anomaly, and that is a vast amount of money, by the way. That is an outstandingly staggering amount of money. That is the budget of about 2-3, if not 4 northern states of at least the poorer states in Nigeria. That's almost twice their annual budget combined. There are a lot of these states, so we're talking about a vast amount of money. So what the query is, and there are two sides now, there's two strands of arguments that is coming. The argument that is coming from the Magu side is that even he's saying he only recovered this on the books, but he's put this much more in the central bank account that is meant to hold those recovered funds, and they are saying that is testament to his achievement and honesty. But then if you are recording one thing and you are putting something different in the central bank account, it doesn't really matter if you have put more or you have put less. That is fraud. It is fraud. So this is now fraud effectively now that is taking place within the EFCC structure, according to the details that Malami has now put out in the public space. Because if you imagine then that this guy has put 39 billion naira more than he declared on the books in the EFCC account with central bank, then you want to query that where did that money come from? One, why was it not audited with the rest of the monies that was being remitted into the EFCC account with central bank? 2, and then 3, and most importantly, how do we know that there's not more than that 38 billion that you declared? Because if you are just magically producing 38 billion out of thin air and putting it in the EFCC account at central bank, then what magic then would not make that money 100 billion naira or more? So a lot of odd goings on and a lot of creaking in the dark of the night going on within that structure to the point now that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has felt moved enough to write to the president to ask for the sacking of this guy that has not even been confirmed by the Senate, because of course he already has a query on his records from the DSS, and that is the Nigerian narrative, convoluted and complex, but at the heart of it is just one word: corruption. Conversations in the comment section. Come share thoughts. They are cannibalizing each other, as I said. Or what is your take? Come tell me. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then click on the like button as well if you have enjoyed the video. After doing all that, then come meet me in the comment section to now see now and discuss what Abakari had been keeping a lead on, that is now spilling out into the public glare within the Nigerian space in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So finally we go on to the never-ending battle between Aisha Buhari and the Cabal. So Malam Buhari has now weighed in to take a position in that battle, and this video explains how that pans out. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, we're back to the Aisha Buhari and the Cabal narrative, a never-ending fight, and whoever yields first in this fight, the other side gets the victory. So the fight is ongoing, and the victory is going to be determined by whichever side that Malam Buhari weighs on. So with that set in the background, guys, I bring you this. President Buhari sacks security details over Aso Rock crisis. So Malam Buhari, who of course you know is suffering from dementia, so when you say that Buhari takes a position, you have to bear that in mind. So Buhari, the demented 80-something-year-old alleged president of Nigeria, has now taken a position on the crisis that is going on within his own immediate quarters, and now that is the narrative we're about to embark on this video. So again, the headline: President Buhari sacks security details over Aso Rock crisis. So now let's now see how the Malami weighs in this equation. President Muhammadu Buhari has fired his security details and other persons in Aso Rock over the role they played in the crisis between his wife Aisha and Saibu Tunde Yusuf, his assistant. Those fired by Buhari on Wednesday include his chief personnel security officer, chief detail to president, ADC to the first lady, escort commander, ADC National Defense Council, and 37 others from the villa. It was reported on Tuesday that President Buhari, who is deeply angered by the embarrassing crisis in Aso Rock, was preparing to fire his security details and some top aides for the role they played in dragging the presidency into the mud. It was gathered that President Buhari decided to take the step after Maman Daura, his nephew, and one of his closest confidants, was seen weeping as he made his way to his office. Daura was said to have informed Buhari that his security aid were not only after Yusuf's life, but his own as well. Buhari gave the nod for all persons involved in the alleged threat to the lives of the two men to be removed. The crisis was started with Yusuf's refusal to embark on a 14-day isolation period after returning to Abuja from a trip to Lagos last week. This led to the arrest and eventual redeployment of the aide-de-camp to Mrs. Buhari and other security details attached to her after it was claimed that they threatened to kill the president's assistant in the process of trying to get him out of the villa. Inside sources says the latest step by the president could further stir the bad blood amongst different power blocks in Aso Rock, especially with the First Lady vowing to take a pound of flesh for being embarrassed by Yusuf and other Cabal members. So this is now the situation that we're contending with within the Nigerian space. Malam Buhari, of course, has weighed on the side of his palace as opposed to his wife. So consider this. I'm speaking now to the male viewer, but the female viewers can empathize with this as well. So consider this: your wife is in a dispute with your friends, and it is a mortal dispute where you have to take a side, and whichever side you do weigh on gets the victory. So Malam Buhari's wife now, supposed wife, because of course Malam Buhari is too far gone to be of any sort of a husband to a young girl like Aisha. This is just as an aside, this is one of the problems that they have within the northern space. When a 50-something-year-old man will go and buy some 14-year-old girl to be his bride, so when the girl is now in her 20s, 30s, the man is already in his 80s, whatever, and is of no use to her anymore. So the children now that she bears thereafter have a question mark on them, but that is of course a problem for them. The whatever it is, the northerners, the Malamis, so they're a different people, a different country, a different mindset. So it doesn't really concern the Yoruba people, and I'm sure the Igbo people will say that it doesn't really concern them either. But we have empathy, of course, for these very young girls that are being bought and sold by these Malamis, but really it's their own affair. But really now, what's now happened is that this guy now, and the other thing, sorry, I keep jumping from a thought to the other. I just want to give it to you guys raw as it's coming to me. So the other thing now that you have to consider is a while ago, somebody was saying that the last person that speaks with Malam Buhari is who he goes with. So because of course, you know, he's too far gone, he's debilitated mentally, physically, and in all functionality. He's just like he has no potency as a being, and I'm not even talking about as a man, but as a being. He has no real potency, and anytime that he does appear in the public space, he is heightened and hyped up with medication just to give him like a period of lucidity, just to address a video to be pumped out to the Nigerian people, just to tell them that, look, this man is still alive. This is all that happens within that space. So it's a free-for-all space. So now this Daura now, who was chased out of the government by Oshibanjo, and that is the price that Oshibanjo is now paying for the way that they have emasculated him completely within the Nigerian space. He has no potency anymore. They've put him in a dress, Oshibanjo I'm talking about. They've put him in a dress, and they have put lipstick on him, put a wig on him, and they have turned him into a female. So Oshibanjo is effectively now a ladyboy within the Buhari regime. There's absolutely no refuting that. Harsh words, but factual all the same. So he's packed to one side. So it's a free-for-all now. You have a vice president that is completely been made impotent, and you have a president that is completely now debilitated cranially and physically. So now it's a free-for-all, because you have now nobody occupying the driving seat within the Nigerian vehicle. So free for all now. So everybody is grabbing. The only person that was holding it together, of course, was that Abakari character, and he wasn't holding it together for any altruistic reason other than for him to be the president of Nigeria and continue to grab money. And it is that arrogance, should I say, that led to his demise when he came back from Egypt and Germany, and refused to quarantine, and then of course came back. He not only refused to quarantine, by the way, refused to get himself checked as well, and of course then went around up to the point that he had now come back with that C19, and bye Abakari. This is what happened. So now, going back to the narrative now, it's a free-for-all now within the Nigerian space. So come tell me how you would like the Nigerian vehicle to sway in the comment section. Aisha Buhari and the Cabal are the options. So pick one and then come give a reason in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then which way Nigeria, come point a direction in the comment section. So I leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here I say peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So those are the 5 videos for this week. Please come into the comment section because, as I said, this is a relatively new feature on this channel. So I am really gauging the feedback to see how you guys are responding to it so that we know if we're holding it in place permanently or not, depending on the sort of feedback in the comment section and the viewing that it gets. So those are the 5 videos for this week. Come into the comment section to speak about the videos and speak about the feature or whatever it is that you'd like to talk about. So click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on the like button as well because that helps with the algorithm. Then come join me in the comment section to discuss all of the videos that's been featured on this feature. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.